Seth David here with the world-famous Nerd Enterprises Incorporated, and I wanted to give you one last chance to sign up for today's webinar on exploring the scientific approach to setting your rates. This started out with me and my Google Plus weekly hangout on Friday mornings, wanting to take a look with the group at what value pricing was all about. And I called it value pricing and the scientific approach to setting your rate, something like that. What I found in the process of my exploration is the more I dug into this, the more I just hated the idea of value pricing. I think it just leaves too much to chance, that you won't have an opportunity to plan properly and make sure that you're bringing in enough money to cover all your expenses, especially since a big part of our expenses as service providers is the time we have to put in to get something done. And value pricing says ignore all that. Don't keep track of your time. Don't worry about it. It takes what it takes. Just do the work, set a price, and get it done and send a bill to your client. Now that works if you jack up your prices so high that you know there's no chance you're not covering everything. The problem with that is you could potentially be pricing yourself out of the market. And I know the argument on the other side of that is, well, you can't put a price on great customer service. And that just sounds fantastic, but in the real world, I don't know how well that works. I don't know that the perception of the customer is going to be, oh my God, I mean, of course customer service is very important, but I don't know that people are going to be sitting there saying, oh my God, the customer service was so mind-blowing that I'm going to pay 4 times what I should be paying for this just because the person was so nice. So anyway, that's just my quick take and opinion. So what are we going to be looking at today? We're going to be looking at a scientific method to laying out what you need to see in order to be able to set your rates properly. What that translates to is, first of all, I need to have goals. And we looked at the goals in a little different format than what you're seeing here. What you're seeing here is actually much simpler. You're looking at the actual Nerd Enterprises financial model for 2013 that I prepared right at the end of 2012. And I updated it a few times already throughout this year. But I laid out this goal, and of course everything I've learned from all the laws of attraction, self-help literature, whatever you want to call it, has taught me to learn to spend time every day looking at a goal like this and picture myself there and feel the feelings that I feel now that I've reached this goal. So to me it's important. I do actually spend a few minutes every day when I start my day looking at this. You might look at this and say, oh my God, that's crazy. How can I do $65,000 a month? I've learned that I have to think differently than that. I have to think not how can I do $65,000 a month. I have to think instead, how does it feel now that I'm doing $65,000 a month? Am I actually doing that yet? No. But this is what I've learned to do to set me in the right mindset every day and to help me stay focused. Doing this actually keeps me less distracted because I know that I have to stay very focused in order to achieve a goal like this. So I've got my company balance sheet laid out here. I've got the profit and loss, and I've got the statement of cash flows. What's the point of all this? Is to show me the entire financial picture. If I leave any of these pieces out, I'm not seeing everything. And you're going to see in the webinar today in much greater detail why that's so important. I do the same thing on the personal side. I'm going to tab all the way over. So I have my personal balance sheet, my personal profit and loss, my personal statement of cash flows. Don't be overwhelmed. It looks very complicated. I can assure you it's not, especially once I explain it in the webinar later today. The reason for having those two sections laid out mainly is so that I can do what you're seeing here, which I call the distributions. And what this does is it lets me go into any given month, having looked, let's say, at the personal statement of cash flows, which is at the end of the day what I need to focus on, because that's what tells me what I'll have in the bank. And I can go in here and say, all right, let me plan the distributions that I need to flow over to my personal from my business in order to make sure that I've at least covered that stuff. And included in what I want to cover, of course, is a certain amount that I'd like to be able to put away every month into savings. So that's the ultimate sort of resting place for my money, is my personal, my home. This allows me to do that. It lets me see the whole picture. Now, in between are things like different debt payments that I have, my home loans, my credit cards, and then I've got a separate tab for each so I can analyze each on its own and really plan the repayment. And if you read my newsletter from yesterday that I sent out, then you'll see how I talk there about how I'm almost out of debt. I'm completely debt-free except for the home loans, of course. And the reason I've been able to accomplish that is by doing this kind of stuff, by looking at it very closely. So we're going to look at a much more detailed goal. The goal that you set is going to be based on having laid out all this information and now seeing what I need to bring in at a minimum each month in order to cover my personal expenses and pay for my lifestyle. That means over and above what I need at a minimum, how do I want to live? How much money do I want to save every month? Do I want to put aside money to go on vacations? All those sorts of things so that I can have the balanced life that I really want to have. It all plays plays into this, and that's what I'm going to talk about. And at the end of the day, we're going to be able to see how the whole picture comes together so that I can actually set my rates properly based on how much time, based on the inputs. Value pricing says ignore the inputs. I say you can't ignore the inputs. I want to look at the inputs and see how much time do I have available, how much money do I need to make in order to achieve the lifestyle that I'm hoping to achieve. And based on those inputs and where I want to be, how much do I need to be bringing in every month, and how does that break down in terms of number of clients or number of hours, however you want to break it down. We'll also spend some time looking at a product model and what this looks like when I'm actually selling products for a living. So do me a favor, do yourself a favor, go sign up right now. I look forward to seeing you in the webinar. If you're watching this after May 3rd of 2013, then look in the descriptions for a link to go purchase and download the recording of this webinar. No matter what you do, whether you take all of this and use it or you just take pieces of it, I guarantee you'll walk away with some more information that you can use in terms of how to use Microsoft Excel in your business. As always, if you have any questions, post your comments, reach out to me, Seth@nerdenterprises.com. If you'd like direct one-on-one training, 866-945-8070. I look forward to seeing you on the web.